Hey guys, it's Lily and day. It's 1 o'clock. Just been studying for finals and stuff. But I figured I'd talk about the ethics of animals in zoos. So some people believe that animals have a right to liberty and therefore all zoos are inherently wrong. And that they're being held against their will, and that they're being treated captive, and it diminishes the animal's quality of life being captive for so long. And so here are a couple of reasons that I found off the internet on why people think that zoos are bad. And so it's that animals deprived of its natural habitat. The animal might not have enough room, deprived of natural social nature and companionship. It's forced into close proximity with other species and human beings coming and seeing them, which isn't unnatural. They may become bored, depressed, or institutionalized. They're bred in zoos and become imprinted on human beings rather than members of their own species. They live longer in the zoos in the wild, but they may experience a lower quality of life. Unethical things that zoos and aquariums do. You just have to go into what the benefits are. And so it's really this idea that zoos over the past couple of decades have shifted their main focus from going from preserving species through captivity into preserving habitats and species in the wild. And so between that shift has really been what's changed just what a zoo is and how ethical they are. And so zoos support conservation of the wild by educating the public. Okay, so you have a lot of people going to zoos every single day, lots of zoos around the world. And now that zoos are more focused on preserving the wildlife and conserving that, then it's going to be a lot more beneficial in the long run for those the animals in the wild. So they educate the public, they raise money for conservation programs, they create awareness for conservation programs, they develop technology that can be used to track wild populations, conduct scientific researches, advancing veterinary medicine, and develop animal handling techniques. And so all of these things really just help them grow in what they have to do and what they can offer these animals in the wild and these animals in captivity. Alright, so the western lowland gorilla, Harambe, was shot a couple years ago, year ago, so after a 3-year-old fell into its enclosure and was so the Harambe was killed, and this was used by critics all over as an opportunity to show the inherently unethical and cruel way of zoos and aquariums. But zoos today zoo and aquariums are being uniquely positioned to combat those evolving threats. This is being done by different breeding programs because these breeding programs have actually saved numerous of species from extinction. So a lot of times animals in zoos were the last ones a part of their kind, and then when they died, it was kind of over, and they just kind of kept this prolonged life for these animals in the zoos, but they couldn't they released them out into capture or into the wild, and it just didn't go well. So that's how these animals have died. But now they're being able to save them, and so it's these positive contributions of zoos and aquariums in conserving wild animals cannot and they should not outweigh the health and the well-being of the animals living under the care of the zoos and aquariums. So the American Humane Association is launching a global initiative to elevate the welfare standards for zoos and aquariums worldwide. And so this is a third-party program company that is focused on increasing the health, the health, the social life, the active, safe, and the living with proper light, sound, air, and heat levels for these animals. It's increasing all of that, making sure they're all up to standard so that these animals can live. And these standards are not set by zoos. Instead, it's set by an independent, world-renowned experts in the animal science field. So it's, these experts who know what they're talking about, know what they're doing, making this program and these levels of expectation to raise the bar that these zoos have to abide by, with without being lenient, or there'll be a conflict, or there'll be conflicts. All right, let's talk about good or bad uses of animals. All right, so circuses. All right, so the animals' rights answer is the use of animals to entertain human beings is just wrong. It treats the animals as a means to achieve some human end, fails to treat the animals with the respect they deserve, and it violates the animal's right to live in freedom. Obviously, because they're captured, they're moved around, showed for people's entertainment. Pretty obvious. Now, the use of animals to entertain human beings is wrong from the welfare point of view because it removes animals from their natural habitat and social structure. It involves in performances that are foreign from their natural behavior. It may involve cruelty during the show, so that could be bullfighting, rodeos. In Spain, they do the bullfighting, and they kill the animals, stuff like that. Dog fighting, which is less circus but still more entertainment. There might be some cruelty in the training, and there may be involved in a way that the animal is cruel. There's cruelty in the way the animal is kept or transported or kept alive, whether it be a cage, kennel, that kind of stuff. All right, so I'm gonna switch to an interview with my mom, who actually works at animal research in 3, 2, 1. Yep.
Hi, my name is Dee Manning. I'm Tim Manning's mom. He asked me to speak a little bit to my topic and the job that I do right now. Right now I work for the Cannon Research Institute, which is in Charlotte, and we do a lot of rodent, which would include mice, rats, guinea pigs, sand rats, which are a little like gerbils, and we also do studies with pigs. All our animals come from very specific places, and they are raised for research. They're clean, they're taken care of very, very well. I like the facility that I work with. We do a lot of studies for ALS and muscular dystrophy. So there's a lot of studies for that, particularly with just medication orally or in the water. So it gives doctors the time to use that. These animals are all raised for research. This is all they've ever known and done. And the people who take care of them, such as myself, really like animals, so we love on them. I will say this about it. Our institution is ALAS accredited, which is the American Association for Lab Animal Science, which has more rules and regulations and documentations and specific SOPs, standard operating procedures, which make it really clean and a good facility. This work is being done all over the U.S. and the world, particularly the organization I work for works worldwide. And I really appreciate using that.
Tell them what you did this week, what you were working on this week.
With the
animals.
The tumors?
Yeah.
Well, we are injecting immunocompromised mice. It's a study. All these studies come and are approved and come with grants and with different doctors and PhDs work on. One particular one that we're doing right now is just a pilot study for work where we take immunocompromised mice that have no they have no immunities to anything. We keep them in sterile rooms with sterile everything that we use with them and for them, and when we come in the room, and we inject them with tumors that grow, and then we treat them with different medications for the tumors and see how they improve.
But I think I'd kind of talk about a little bit where animals come from. So schools, research companies, whatever, can obtain animals for dissection or research from biological supply companies, which source entire animals as well as just animal parts. And so these suppliers get it from a variety of dealers. According to the American Anti-Vivisection Society, these dealers are separated into A and B type of dealer, Class A and D, or A and B class of dealers. A are organizations or individuals who breed the animals and sell. And then Class B are animals, or are dealers who breed and purchase animals to resell. So just kind of a different between them. Figured I'd talk a little bit more about just kind of the research and dissection. So a lot of people actually are against dissection of animals in the class setting or in laboratories, just because it's very demeaning to the animal, and very inhumane and unethical, and they just kind of, you're raised for so long and you're dead. And so, yeah, just kind of interesting to think about. But one of the articles I was reading was talking about just imagining a world where it's not banned, or it is banned. Animal research and dissections are banned. And so it was talking about like medical progress would come to a standstill, mostly because a lot of the practices use animals first, like my mom was talking about. And so without those animals, we wouldn't really know how the medicine or anything would affect humans. And so therefore, we're not just going to put innocent human lives at risk just for the sake of it. So that's why we have those animals. So we would still be able to use vitro test tubes, but it wouldn't be that adequate, and other non-invasive techniques. We also could use petri dishes, which is what my mom was kind of talking about, using petri dishes for different experiments, like growth bacteria growth, like we did in class. But it's still, only so much you can do for that, and you're not going to get the full effect on how it would work in like a human or even just a living body. So it's estimated that 20 million animals a year are killed for human dissection purposes, whether it's classes, teaching exercises, or whatever. And this can be seen as cruel and abusive and unnecessary, because they're just being used and killed or tormented to be kept alive in different training classrooms. It's inhumane, and it's very different. And when there's things like sophisticated computer software that can replicate exactly what they'd be doing in class, but online without having to kill animals, is one of these ideas that these activists like to use and go to. So biological breeding of animals like mice, rats, rabbits, fetal pigs, just cut them from their mothers after their mothers are after they're born, they killed or trapped. And things like frogs are captured in their natural habitats for dissection and experimentation. So they're being negatively affected in these tests. But it's also discovered that a lot of people, a lot of students actually don't like this, and they oppose the animal testing. And it can be traumatizing. It can foster insensitivity towards animals, which can lead to more like inhumane things, like really inhumane things like dog fighting. And it can dissuade people from even pursuing the career in science. So just some other things to think about when it comes to dissection. Alright, well that about wraps up everything I have for animal rights. So I hope you enjoyed my vlog, which was very sporadic throughout the day. And yeah, thank you for Bio 111, 112. Great class, enjoyed it. and I'll definitely recommend people to take your class, Mr. Castle. Thank you.